Hey, I'm WVTM 13 Chief Meteorologist Jason Simpson, watching some thunderstorms that will come in on Wednesday, September 26th across north and central Alabama. Storm Prediction Center outlines this low-end marginal risk for severe weather, and anytime we have an outlook like that, we call it an impact day in the Birmingham television market. That's because some of the storms could have an impact. Most of us probably will not be impacted by intense thunderstorms on Wednesday, but it's just a good tap on the shoulder that says if one of them does come close to you between as early as 2 and as late as 11 p.m., that they potentially could be severe. And what I've done here is removed the Storm Prediction Center outlook and just colored the different time windows. I think as early as 2 to as late as 6, it's mainly northwest Alabama around the Shoals, Huntsville, Decatur, Athens, maybe down to Cullman, Winston, Marion counties by that point. After 4 until as late as 8, and I think we might be able to go as late as even 9 or 10 around Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Pell City, Gadsden, Anniston, Oxford, Jacksonville. After 7 o'clock to about 11 o'clock, some scattered storms will develop farther south. I don't think we have too much left by the time this gets all the way down toward Chilton County and even down toward the Montgomery area. So here's what we got going on for the next 24 hours. A partly cloudy sky, a lot of humidity. Birmingham made it to 94 degrees on Tuesday afternoon. I think on Wednesday we're going to be very, very close to that yet again with some scattered, potentially heavy thunderstorms. This is WVTM 13 live Doppler radar just before 9:30 on Tuesday evening. There have been some pretty hefty storms northwest of us. In fact, look at that line of storms that's running from Oklahoma up into Missouri and then north of there up toward Minneapolis. That's a cold front, and that front is not moving as fast as this upper air disturbance is. You can see how the jet stream energy is getting a little stronger tomorrow. That's what's going to push those scattered showers and thunderstorms in here. So let's start the futurecast here, and we'll go Wednesday around noon. This is the HRRR, and it does not look all that impressive around 2 p.m. Remember what I said, as early as 2 to as late as about 11 p.m. here around north and central Alabama. Some scattered storms fire. 5 p.m. tomorrow on Wednesday, a storm or two up here around Huntsville, Athens, Decatur, Florence. And they're still getting their act together by this point, and it remains to be seen just how widespread they're going to get. I think around Gadsden Center, we could have some storms, certainly up around Madison and Limestone, Morgan, Cullman, Winston, Marion. But into the Birmingham metro, Jefferson and Shelby, then around Tuscaloosa County, Calhoun County, we're going to be a little more hard-pressed to find widespread showers and thunderstorms. And even as they try to come southeast, they're doing it pretty slowly unless we happen to get this thing called a cold pool. You get a cold pool developing, it'll help to accelerate them south and mean more widespread showers and storms. Based on this, I don't think that's going to happen on the HRRR guidance, but there are other forecast models that do tend to give us a little bit more like that. Some of the guidance here is suggesting it could rain really, really heavily in parts of North Alabama. Other guidance not really giving us all that much hope for widespread heavy rain. So we got a cold front coming in, and that's some good news. That front kicking off the thunderstorms to the northwest. By the way, that's a slightly different riff on what the HRRR was showing with the graph from IBM. But as this front comes in on Thursday, I still think there's a chance of some storms. But Thursday, they're probably more than likely down in this area. Montgomery, Selma, Auburn, over toward Macon, maybe Atlanta. Get up here around Huntsville, Cullman to Birmingham. The drier air is already starting to take over. And I think the rest of the week looks pretty comfortable around here. Take a look at what's going on out in the tropics. This is just going to be a beast of a storm, too. Tropical Storm Lee. The 4 o'clock advisory had it at 45 miles per hour. But this thing already has a lot of convection with it, and if you look carefully, you can see in the cirrus clouds how there's already this very well-defined outflow on the north side of it. That is critical for tropical storm and hurricane development, and the National Hurricane Center doing something that is, I guess, somewhat unprecedented here, going ahead and forecasting rapid intensification. Sunday at 1 p.m. expected to be a Cat 4, probably north of Puerto Rico by that point. I wouldn't take my eye off the ball, though, here, anywhere near where Lee could be passing. This is the European forecast model. I think it's done a pretty good job so far. We're going to take this out past that forecast point from the National Hurricane Center. So right there is Bermuda. Over here is the east coast of Florida. That would be South Carolina right there. This is uncomfortably close to the east coast. And by uncomfortably close, we're still talking 700 miles away. But if there is any additional trending west with this, it could be a threat to North Carolina or maybe even the New England states. This is kind of the pattern that we're dealing with. We end up with a trough over the east and a ridge over the Atlantic. And this is what the potential paths could look like with this. And you see here in the key, disturbance strength. That's really a look at the amount of spin in the atmosphere. So obviously, our hurricane is located right there. This is our trough that's over the eastern part of the country. So somewhere in between the east coast and this ridge that's developing right in here, that's where the path ultimately of this thing could be, and that's where those two arrows are. Is it a Canada issue? Is it an East Coast issue? I think it's too soon to say. But if you have interests along the East Coast, you'll definitely want to keep an eye on this thing. Here's our 7-day forecast locally. Whether that storm makes an impact on the east or not, I don't think we have much of a problem here in Alabama from it. In fact, behind the cool front and behind our impact day on Wednesday, things are getting a little bit cooler. Highs in the 80s, which is pretty common for this time of year, and then lows in the 60s. We've not been this cool Saturday morning, Sunday morning since June 9th in Birmingham. That's the last time it dropped below 65 degrees. So we'll be looking forward to that. And of course, we'll keep you updated on what's going on with Lee and with this threat of thunderstorms on Wednesday. So stick with us here at WVTM 13.